Hey YouTube, welcome to another Comic Book Community 411, and we have our first time ever two guests on at once. So we've got Alan, the Comic Viking, and Becker. So welcome, guys.
Welcome.
Hi, I'm Alan Rue.
I'm Beckerman.
You look yes, you could pass off as twins.
Well, I mean, when you look at me, clearly you would think of a Marine veteran of 10 years with my razor sharp reactive skills.
I like it. Yeah.
Quick like cat. You're quick like cat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, in high school, I was called Whiskers because I'm curious like a cat.
Not sure if we want to know the full story of that.
It's a Will Ferrell thing.
All right. So before we get into the questions, why don't you guys do a little introduction? Tell us about your channel.
Okay. So we have a channel. It's the Comic Viking YouTube channel. It's me and my brother from another mother down there, Beckerman. We have a weekly show called The Hucklebuck. Comes out every Tuesday morning, where we just talk about general stuff. We chastise each other and all in all create some nice banter and that everybody gets to laugh at. And Beckerman makes fun of me constantly because I'm still a noob at comic book collecting. So, and it's okay.
I would make fun of you no matter how many years you had.
That's true. That's true. You would. But and we currently have a 250 subscriber push going on.
And we'll have links, down below for Comic Viking's channel and Instagram. So please, if you're not familiar, please go check them out. So, all right. So why don't we jump into question one? Question one is, how did you get into comic book collecting?
Take it away, Alan.
All right. Mine's going to be boring, but I was helping my close friend move. He's the... my close friend moved up to Charlottesville, and we were driving around, and we were done moving all of our stuff, and we're looking for a place to eat. And one of my other friends is like, "Hey, there's a comic book store. Let's go in it." So we went in the comic book store, and I read comics in the '90s, mid '90s when I was a kid, and just kind of fell out of it. Didn't save any of them or anything like that. But I go in there, and I've always been a huge Venom fan. I love Venom, and I go in there and they have a Lethal Protector set at a really good price. And I say, well, okay, can I get that? And they said, yeah. Asked me if I was a veteran, yada, yada, yada. They had knocked some more off of it. And lo and behold, I found Batman Damned, issue #1 there as well. So I got that. And that was the snowball at the very top of the hill that started everything that I have now.
All right. Beckerman, what about you?
It does not surprise me that one of your first books back was Batman Damned. I've heard the story, so that's part of why I'm not surprised. But also,
technically, it was the 7th book because I bought the Venom books first.
Right, you bought the Venom set first. Myself, I also read comic books in the 90s. I think I know what year I bought my first comic book, 1989, but I didn't get really serious until late 1990, very early 1991. And then I caught the bug, man. And it's been a lifelong passion. I've been reading comics ever since. Polis. For a long time, I wasn't supporting an LCS. In the early 2000s, I realized it was a lot cheaper to get into mail order. But once I moved to a bigger city, Kansas City in 2019, I went back to the LCSs, and I've been loving it. And I discovered the YouTube community when I moved down here. I met some guys in a line at a Clayton Crane signing and found out there was this whole community of people on YouTube, and didn't really have any interest in having a channel, but I liked the chats. I liked the banters. And I found Alan, and he was looking for some help doing stuff on his channel. So the rest is history.
Nice. And so you've collected throughout since you started, like 89?
I've had a pull list since, I know for sure, 91. Okay. But I think I started late 90 with the pull list.
Wow. That's
Uh,
unusual because usually people have,
Years.
start and then stop because life gets in the way, priorities, and then
no
come back.
children, and my wife was cool with it. And in fact, I've been going to cons since 2001, but they didn't. It became a family thing after a while. By the mid 2000s, my wife was going, my sister in law, my nephew when he was born. Like, uh, we just made it. We made it. We brought in everybody. I had a huge crew of friends that were into comic books, and like you said, people exit and get out of the hobby, and then slowly our group started to dwindle. Probably around 2009 um, into the 2010s and stuff, and I've kind of been rebuilding it through YouTube and just a few of my old friends that are still into it.
All right. That's good. Yeah, it's just unusual because usually, like I said, usually people have that break at some point for some reason. So that's interesting that you've been at it for 30
No
years.
kids, no divorce. So it's been
Nice.
clear sailing.
I like it. All right. So Alan, how did you got back into
Hmm.
collecting?
Yeah.
But
So I was collecting for about, let's say, almost a year. Almost a year. I was going to Augusta Book Exchange and Top Dog Comics, the two LCSs here. And along the way, I met Mark from Legion of Comics. He was at the Augusta Book Exchange while I was. It was the day that the Last Ronin #1 dropped, and at that time, I didn't know. I not that I didn't know. I just didn't. I wasn't aware of the ability to look up what's coming out. For me, it was go to the store every Wednesday.
right.
That's what I was doing. I didn't utilize the internet, and so I didn't get a copy. They were gone, and Mark was there, and he introduced himself, told him about his channel, so on and so forth. And I asked Paul about the book, and he said, "I don't have any more." I was like, "Okay, well, if I get a second print, can I get one?" He's like, "Yeah." And Mark was like, "Hey, I got the Eastman variant over at Top Dog. You can go ahead and buy mine." So he let me buy his Last Ronin #1. And that's how I met Mark. And it started to where I was just watching him on YouTube. Then I met Burke and just all these other guys. I didn't start getting on camera until Burke's channel, Burke's Thursday Night Chats. That's when I would jump on channel. And at that point, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna do this either way. I might as well just start a YouTube channel, have some fun with it. So I started a channel. I hit 100 subscribers in, I'd say, less than 2 weeks because of Tyler and Mark. and so and Beckerman commented in one of my videos. He's like, if you don't utilize your name to in some way, shape, or form, it is a missed opportunity.
And
And
then we
that's
never did anything with it.
we did a couple live streams that was called Rue the Day, and it just didn't work out for us. It wasn't our cup of tea. And so, that's how it all started. I talked with him and I was like, "Hey, do you want to do this with me? Like, you want to be my co-host, And he's like, "Yeah, but it's your channel. You do whatever. I'm always available." So, and that's all she wrote right there.
That's nice. Yeah. Good to have a partner to kind of help bounce ideas off because I think, I mean, the community is very supportive. Obviously we've got a ton of chats on Instagram that people bounce ideas off of, but to have actually somebody on camera and to work, I think is, probably pretty good, right? To be able to,
He does. He
collaborate
doesn't.
and
He doesn't ask too much of me either, so it's
No,
pretty easy.
no,
Show
because
up. Show up. We record the Hucklebuck, whenever, and we can record a few at a time, and it's been fun. I love doing it. I never see myself doing my own channel. I would much rather help him, and then if I can't make something, he handles it. And if it fails, I'll blame him.
yeah, that's right. No, none of the responsibility. All right. So then, right. So we back into collecting. We make the leap to YouTube. So now, I know you're into it. Live streams. You're hosting your own monthly book club now as well.
Yes, that was the man down here's brainchild, and it came to fruition. And honestly, this past week we had one. It went 2 hours and 15 minutes, I think it was.
Ton of views too.
Oh yeah. It was on Kingdom Come, which is a phenomenal story. Phenomenal story.
Yeah, it was a fun discussion.
Funny enough, I follow Alex Ross on Instagram, as many people probably do. Yeah. But he posted the picture of Captain Marvel / Shazam standing there over Superman, all chested out and everything, like just today. And I was like, hey, we just had a discussion about that.
Maybe
March is, I believe, the anniversary. The first one came out in March, so what year is it? 2023. Kingdom Come came out 20 years ago from 2016, because I met Alex Ross that year. So it's 27th anniversary of Kingdom Come in March.
So just to let you know, I downloaded it. I had it on Hoopla on my iPad, and I started to read it 3 or 4 times and just something else distracted me, and I never got to it. So
I was going to say, you couldn't get into it?
I still plan to read it.
I hope you do. It's a great story, and the art is just breathtaking.
Yeah, the art is. I just looking at the first couple pages, and the first couple panels was Alex Ross. So it's definitely well done. So yeah, but I do plan to read it.
Good.
So we'll shift gears a little bit with the next question. What about a comic book character or even series? If you had creative control or could reboot something, what would you tackle?
What would I tackle, Alan?
I believe. Let me think.
I'm going to go out on a limb. Hawkeye.
I'm going to go out on a limb, and I'm going to say I think Beckerman will want to reboot the New Warriors. For some reason.
Or I would just do Speedball, honestly. But yes, the New Warriors for sure would be getting a reboot if I ever rise to power. Yeah.
Alan, what about
Alan?
I am currently enjoying the current run of the Punisher. He is my other all-time favorite. Venom and Punisher. Punisher a little bit more, obviously, because of his popularity. And his movies didn't stink as bad. So, but
have you seen the Dolph Lundgren?
I was going to say
that one was. Oh, you had to bring that up, didn't you?
Or the John? Wasn't there one with John Travolta too?
The Thomas Jane one wasn't bad though.
Yeah. But what I would reboot is I wouldn't do it as a comic book, but I would do it as a show on Disney Plus, and that's the Punisher. I would take Punisher from Netflix and bring it over.
Would you use John Bernthal?
Oh yeah. He is such a great fit for that character in my eyes. Because I've seen him in a bunch of other things, and he just fits. He fits Frank Castle. He just fits it. And so that's what I would do. I would reboot that series and just keep it ongoing. Kind of treat it almost like a comic book, but not really. But I would not try and tie it in with the current MCU, because I don't think the Punisher fits. I think he should be standalone. He should be one of those ones that's outside, or however else you want to determine that.
Yeah, not the main continuity then, right?
Not part of the main continuity.
Right. Okay, that's interesting. Yeah, I thought the Netflix series and his crossover with Daredevil was done really really well. I think I think the Daredevil series too. So I wonder if Disney's, just because of the content of the Punisher, that they're trying to figure that out, I would think.
Well, they brought Deadpool over. I mean, they brought Deadpool 1 and 2 over.
Yeah, and that's available on Disney Plus, right? Because they just put up the age barrier.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they'll get to it at some point. I think because now, like you said, Disney Plus now does have that age restriction, ability, to block it from younger viewers. So I think we could see, the Punisher on Disney Plus at some point.
Yeah, I would. If we're talking about shows we would make, mine would be a Madrox show, Jamie Madrox, the Multiple Man. I think Peter David's run on X Factor Investigations. That would be amazing as a Disney Plus show. I don't know if you know too much about the character, but I just think Jamie Madrox would make a really good kind of like Netflix style, like drama, documentary, true crime kind of.
I don't know much about the character, but
yeah.
I
So
would enjoy that a lot.
just a brief overview of how he ends up becoming a private eye. Jamie Madrox is able to absorb the skills and memories of his duplicates.
Okay.
And so what he did was he just like you're to believe sometime after joining the X-Men, he just made a bunch of copies and sent them out into the world to go learn different skills. Like some of them became martial arts experts. Others' jobs were just to learn different languages. And others still were detectives, medics, soldiers, bounty hunters, and they all come back and he reabsorbed them all and he just basically becomes this jack of all trades, kind of sleazy private investigator. And he takes his old X Factor team and he puts them to work solving, mutant-based mysteries. And it's great. And
yeah,
I think
it
would translate amazingly too.
It would. I think you could definitely make a series out of that. And
I'm not the only one. There's a very there's a murmur in the amongst comic book fans that have been long saying this would make an amazing show, and that means you guys should go get those Fantastic Four king size number 5s before they become unattainable.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, but I think there's a missed opportunity with some of the streaming services not to tap into the comic book world a little bit more, because and we do have a lot of films and we do have a lot of shows, but there's a base of stories that's already written, and the biggest complaint is a script is bad, or the script wasn't good. You can't make a good movie unless you have a good script, and so there's this base of content that's out there that they could draw from, and I think that's what DCU, and they're trying to now go back and pull more from the comic books and try to build something. So I definitely could see where some of these maybe lesser known characters could really propel a series.
We've seen it done. Like Legion got a TV show that went 2 seasons. Legion, the guy from New Mutants and Uncanny that barely, Chris Claremont hated writing the character. It was forced upon him. I would consider Madrox much more important to the Marvel mutant universe than Legion, and Legion got 2 seasons. So.
Right.
So I definitely think, and I think the studios have seen it too. Like Guardians of the Galaxy, that group wasn't that they weren't driving comic book sales ever.
Right.
Well, they're driving video sales, that's for sure. Because they
now they're beloved characters.
Yeah.
Well, a good mix of some comedy and some music, with a funny, a good story, and
And I think it's nice for the people watching. I feel like movies like that get over because the characters don't have a ton of baggage tied to them. You can really do whatever you want with them. Look at when they made the Howard the Duck movie back in the 80s. You can do anything you want with it because the character's not really been around that long, and there's not been a whole lot tied to them. I think there's more freedom in working with the lesser known characters for the people creating the movie or whatever content.
It's one of the reasons I really enjoyed the first Ant-Man, because it was more, kind of light not so much superhero, dramatic. It was more a little, comedy, a little goofy. The little security team that worked with them, and so
Yeah.
that was, it was just kind of like a change of pace type superhero movie.
For sure.
So.
Definitely.
All right, so we'll move on to our next question, the fourth question. What do you guys, is there something in particular that you dislike about comic book collecting or the community? So, something that just doesn't sit well with you.
Alan?
I would say the part that, I mean, it's so, it hits me on two ends. One, I'm all for it, and another end I'm not for it, and that's the capitalistic side of comic books. Is that when you see a book that is going to be sought after, and you buy crazy amounts of copies, and then you put this ridiculous price tag on it, and you sell them, and you basically have created FOMO, fear of missing out, or you have created an obscene asking price for this book that could have been like in between what it's actually cost when you pull it off the stand, as opposed to what you're charging. But I also see that as, it's part of capitalism. I mean, you supply and demand. You have the supply and there's the demand. So, bam.
This is a good question. I really like it. It's got me thinking, and I kind of used Alan's time to mull over my own opinion on it. The only thing that I'm concerned about is that I hope when my time with this hobby is done, that, there's still a hobby for future people to enjoy. And I do see the dangers of the zero-sum game of Alan, but I think more importantly is that we have to stop feeling like people entering the hobby are an enemy. Like, I feel like some people are almost reserved around new collectors because they don't want them getting anything that they're going to get. Like, I don't want to tell you where I shop because I don't want you getting my books. And I'm not going to I really see it amongst art collectors. I know I didn't mention this earlier, but about 15 years or so ago, I got into buying art, and maybe 20 now. I don't know. Some years ago.
I couldn't tell by your background.
Right. And this is all New Warriors. This is just the New Warriors stuff. Some of it. And, I hate the idea of that. I know there are people out there that tried to get back into comic collecting and got disenfranchised by it and felt like there was just a bunch of leeches in the hobby. And I mean that on every side of it. I mean, artists putting out shit they know isn't valuable, like too many covers of some bull crap book, and the publishers, we don't need 30 number ones every month, 30 different covers. Like, stop making these people think they have to buy all of these, because it's not sustainable. Just make good stories and have a fun environment with which to enjoy this. Going to a con shouldn't piss you off. You know what I mean? We should be able to have fun with this stuff, or else we're not going to have it, because no new people are going to want to be in it. And that's why I do. I always reach out. I reached out to Alan for the same reason I've reached out to guys like Durs. I see new collectors as awesome. Like, I feed off of his enthusiasm. I'm a vampire, man. It's hard to stay excited for Wednesdays when you've seen 400 Wednesdays. But when Alan gets excited and jacked for a book, I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, I'll check it out, and I end up having more fun because of it.
I think he was just as excited as I was about my ASM 169.
129.
129. Sorry. Oh crap, man! I'm
a
horrible person.
I knew what you meant.
I'm a horrible person.
I was excited for it, dude. I loved it. Like, I was along for the ride emotionally to see what the grade would come back.
I got goosebumps just talking about it.
Yeah, it was great.
The whole entire way I got it, and because he was the first person I texted, I was texting him. I was like, "Hey, I found this book. I'm thinking about trading him this. Should I do it? Is this a good trade?"
And I said, "You take that trade and run,
yeah,
run."
That's great.
Yeah, how
I,
can you not?
I think it's important to support, new people in the hobby, right? I mean, I know when I go to, free comic book day, every year, at least at my LCS, there's a ton of, there's some books that are geared towards younger readers, under 7 or 8 years old or whatever the age bracket is. But I'm excited to see that there's young kids there picking up free books and getting into reading. Um, so I'm very supportive, try to be supportive of, younger readers because, one, I know as a kid, I didn't like to read the book that I had to read in English, for class, but I would much rather read, comic books. So,
Actually, I'll tell you a story. I met, and now I got to think of what year it was. I met Charlie Cox, Netflix Daredevil, at a con. Had my nephew with me. I can't remember what year it was, but Daredevil hadn't run its course yet. Maybe, actually, I think we're talking like maybe season 2.
oh wow, okay.
They had just announced that John Bernthal was going to be in the upcoming season as the Punisher. So meet Charlie Cox. We're waiting in line. I think actually my nephew had gone back. We'd already gotten our picture. I'm now standing in line to get a comic book signed by Charlie Cox. Or I was gonna pick up an 8x10 that they have there. Hadn't decided yet. But this kid in line was he all of a sudden decided he wanted a comic book. And I said, "You know what, kid, I'll give you this. It's not worth that much." I had actually already gone and gotten David Mack to sign it. And I knew I had more at home of that run and of that particular issue. And I was like, I was going to have Charlie Cox sign it. And I was going to have, it was after season 2. Never mind. It was after season 2 because I was going to have Elodie Young sign it too. So I said, if you have an autograph ticket for her, you should go there next and get her to sign this. Or no, it wasn't. I don't know. I can't remember my own stories half the time. But anyway, the long and short of it is I gave away a First Echo. And at the time, it was like a $10 book. I know it's come back down, so I feel better about it. But at one point, I was like, man, I gave away a key issue. But who cares? That kid was so excited. Like, his dad tried to pay me. I was like, don't worry about it, man.
Oh wow, that's nice. That's great.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the kind of, and I did some similar stuff for my local library. Used to do signings and stuff, and kids would come, and nobody had anything for the comic book artist they got. It was Phil Hester, and I have like a triple run of his Green Arrow run, so I just brought like 20 rando issues that he did and handed them out to kids.
Oh, nice.
I didn't get one signed for myself even that time. I have plenty of Phil Hester signatures because he was local to me at that time. But yeah, just gave them out. Figured it would be a way to decrease the old long boxes. And then, yeah, I see people like I've done my best to try to help Alan get his collection going. I've reached out to other people that, just give them some ideas, collect art.
I have started, and honestly, the art has actually pulled my fiance into it because she enjoys the prints. I know you like the original art, but she enjoys the prints and the different type of prints, and that's what she likes. And then my stepdaughter, she is a great artist. She's working on a Joker book for me right now, but she's a phenomenal artist, and she loves going and seeing the artist, talking to the artist. But she reads anime, a lot of anime, so that's what she's into. So I try and support that as much as possible.
Yeah. So yeah, what is she into?
Anime.
No, your future wife.
Prince, like Oh man,
that wasn't me.
Oh,
I do enjoy though. Although I don't have any original art, I do like seeing the pairing, like the original art page, and then the comic book, the finished comic book. So
That's her saying hi, Beckerman.
that's all right. We'll get her on the original art path.
Dude, original art's not the cheapest.
I know, and
$20.
I've always been a budget collector, and I've never been opposed to blue lines. And the guff I give you about prints, Hoarder's Hide gives me about blue lines. And in fact, last night he disqualified my opinion on something. He said, "Well, you collect blue lines." I was like, "Oh man, like,
damn,
I'm high road and Allen, and Hoarder's Hide is high road and me."
Coming full circle.
It is.
All right, so you guys made it through the 4 questions, standard questions that I ask everybody, and so our next 2 are going to be random. The next one will be a random question I'll come up with, and then we have a list of 50 questions, and we'll have each of you pick a number, and we'll ask that question. But my question for you, my random question for you guys is this like a Batman Robin situation with the partnership on the channel? Is Beckerman your ward? Like
I'm glad you asked this question because we're Blue Beetle and Booster Gold.
Okay, that's what I was trying to figure out what
that's a great analogy.
Yeah, well, I think especially I would say we're early 90s Blue Beetle and Booster Gold. I'm a genius with a weight problem, and he's kind of a slow-witted jock that I allow to adventure with me.
I like it.
I think I don't know how. I don't know why we were meant to find each other and do the shows that we do, but it just works. I mean, it just, like you've seen our videos, like we just mesh. I mean, it was just like this from day one. It just went, and I guess that's all. And I would never say Batman Robin. Heck no, not even close.
Well, like I said, I was thinking more like you were taking Beckerman under your wing and supporting him financially.
No, if he
wants to, I'm not opposed.
I'm not opposed.
All right, so we'll. And I do notice the chemistry between you guys on your videos. I almost like watching your videos, not for so much of the books and things that you're showing off, just the banter between you guys. Like that's the better part of the videos. Other than the books you show off, or other than those poo books that you buy. I have no idea why you're buying those, but anyway, the banter is the fun part.
Oh, and I will say this, and I know not everybody's going to believe us. None of it is scripted. None of it. Absolute zero. We don't script anything. Stress
enough.
We don't. We just hit record and we go, and there is no editing. I don't edit. I'm not putting that much time into it. So,
let it roll.
Yet. I should say not yet, because you never know, right? So just as of right now, I just don't edit. I mean, it's we just hit record, we go, and I upload it, and that's it.
Yeah, no, I mean, that is the beauty of the live stream though too, right? No, you can just click, go and just start a video and be done with it, and not have to worry about all the bells and whistles.
Yeah.
So, all right. So let's go to our. We'll start, Alan. Let's start with you. Give me a number 1 through 50, and we'll see where we land.
Take my number, Alan.
So 1 to 15.
15.
Thank you.
What celebrity would you like to meet at Starbucks for a cup of coffee?
Ooh. Alive or dead or anyone?
Anyone.
What kind of conversation you gonna have with a dead person?
Well, I mean, if they were alive, I mean, that's why I ask. It would. I mean, I don't. Why is the name escaping me? Darth Vader,
James
James Earl
Earl
Jones.
Jones.
James Earl Jones.
That's an
I
interesting
just
pick.
think he would be a great guy. He's done so much different things. I think he would just be such a great it would be a great conversation. There'd be no like expectations for anything. Just sit down. He talks about his life experiences and honestly, I think he would be a fun type of guy. So
It'd
just
be
seems
interesting to hear him order coffee in the Vader voice.
yeah, that too. Could do that.
All right. That's a good answer. All right, Mr. Beckerman, 1 through 50.
What celebrity?
No,
I
you got to
feel-
pick a
You can
bro.
pick a new one, or you can answer that if you'd
You
like.
got to pick a new one. You got to
Oh,
pick a number.
17.
17. 17. That's an interesting one. What's one thing you'll never do again?
Go to San Diego Comic-Con.
Ooh.
And
Because
I've
of
really put a lot of thought into that. It's changed and I've changed. I can't see a scenario where I would ever return. And it's gotten so expensive. Even like our last year going, would have been '09, and the hotel prices were just crippling. You know, when you've got to shove 5 people into a room just to bring it to what you would spend in a normal situation,
right.
It's not fun anymore. Like
Right.
it just felt like you would go back to the room. It's not relaxing. It's not, you know what I mean? It just,
Yeah, you're worried about the money you're spending. Yeah, yeah.
that's not fun. Well, to make it affordable, like we had 5 guys in a room with 2 beds and a rollaway and 2 dudes sleeping on the floor. Like it's just not fun.
Right.
Everywhere
right.
you moved, there was a person, and yeah, you're next to the biggest con in the world, but it's just.
And how is that con? I mean, I've never been, but the impression I get is more of a more celebrity movie, promoting movie and projects and
I mean,
streaming
that's
rather
all
than an
age.
actual floor, a con where you're walking the floor and looking at vendors and things like that.
Back then, it was still the never-ending sea of vendors, and it was a mixture of everything.
Okay.
Now I understand. I mean, you're seeing it at all cons. I've even watched C2E2 change, in my time. And Wizard World Chicago before that, back when Wizard World was still a magazine. The cons as they became businesses, and became tours and hitting multiple cities, and they exploded, and became obsessed with having celebrities and driving revenue. I mean, when your goal is to make money,
Yeah,
you're not going to stick with just comics, and
Right.
more you dilute it, the less it becomes fun for a comic book fan. I would argue that at some point during around that time, the 2009 to 2012 era, Comic Cons kind of died for a while. You had the heroes and the Baltimores that were staying true to their roots, and they survived, I think, because of it. But a lot of companies went belly up.
So I was told this by the guys that I went to Heroes Con last year and met a lot of people in the community. And not as many as this year, but because there's a lot. But what I was told was it wasn't normal for a Comic-Con. I was like, what do you mean? They're like the amount of book vendors. And I was like, what are you talking about? Like, this is a Comic Con, like comic books. That's what this is about. Why there should be tons and tons and tons of comic books. There should be more comic books than everything else combined. And at Heroes Con, it was. I mean, it was. I looked down the window when I got there, and I was like, wow, how am I going to go through every single one of those boxes? I don't know if I can, but I'm going to try. And
Your best.
yeah, but I was told that it's not like that, and I would. I'm not jaded, but I'm a little precautious to try any other con, because I know what I'm going to get going to Heroes Con. Now, if it changes, yeah, I'll probably stop. But as of right now, with where I live 3 hours from Heroes Con. I'm going to go. And so, I mean, if it changes, yeah, I'll stop going. But I'm cautious to try another convention and be disappointed. That's my fear, would be being disappointed.
Yeah, I think most cons have that mix, right? There's toys, action figures, T-shirts, pop figures. A lot of vendors that are not comic books and more, pop culture and toy type stuff. I know I saw that. I went to Terrific Con last year in Connecticut, which is a pretty small con, but a good amount of comic book vendors. But there was a bunch of other, like I said, toys and pop figures and things like that. So um, I was lucky enough as a kid. I had a Holiday Inn that was in walking distance, and they would run like a monthly con, and it was like 20 vendors, all comic books.
Yeah, that's what you would call a table con.
Right. And it was the best because there was no, this was before pop figures, and it was just wall to wall comic books. And I could
Those
go
are
there.
always fun when you find them.
Yeah. Yeah. Those smaller, but just true, true vendors, true collectors. I actually had somebody sell like their private collection. The guy basically had like a show in his house one weekend, and I picked up the Wolverine, Frank Miller, the limited series from that, like as a 13, 14-year-old kid. And I forget what I paid for it. It wasn't, back then
Probably
it wasn't that expensive.
much.
Yeah, not much. Maybe $20 for the $4. Um, but I remember that just being like, this guy had it set up in his like garage and patio area, and so like
That's one reason I love Kansas City is we've got collectors that do stuff like that. A guy named Denny Cox here in KC does a garage con, and obviously he doesn't do them in the winter time, but now he's decided to start. And just last weekend, circumstances, and I went to Garage Con in a VFW. And what it is Denny, like when it's in his garage, he just invites other dealers he knows to come set up in his driveway, and they sell comics all day.
Wow, that's great.
And then he's got so many people, hey, when are you going to do when I'd like to get on the list, that he was like, you know what, let's just rent a VFW and fill that up. And he had to turn people away.
Wow.
So yeah, it's great.
I've seen too. Last summer we had one here where there was a local LCS, and they had like a corner building, and they basically had like a courtyard almost out between their building and the next building, and they basically had probably about 10 vendors come out, and it was dollar comic books only, and they're set up on the sidewalk on a Saturday, and it was just all the books were dollar books. Some of them were, you had a range, older stuff, modern stuff, stuff that was released in the last couple of months, even, like overstock for books. And so I was like, wow, this is fun, because you've only got, you've got whatever, 8-10 tables, and you can just, spend a day going through them and not have to worry about, anything, not being distracted by, a panel or a toy vendor or things like that. It was just strictly all comics. So lucky to have those type of, events. So,
For sure.
Yeah.
Free comic book day is usually a good one for your LCSs to try to put stuff together. I want to say 2016 was the best one I ever went to. Iowa City, a shop I've gone to all my life, Daydreams, that's now owned by a guy that grew up going there like me.
Oh wow!
They were having their 40th anniversary in 2016, or 30 years of Daydreams in 2016, and the owner Zach, he was like, I want to go all out. He like me he'd been hitting cons his whole life as a dealer, And he'd made connections over the years. He's like, you watch 2016, he's like, I'm cashing in all my chips for the store's birthday. And he did. And his guest list was like the local guys like Phil Hester, Sean Lewis, the Iowa people, you know. And but then he got like the writer and artist of Lumberjanes. So he had some indie heat there. And he had Scotty Young.
Oh, wow.
And Scotty did free sketches for Free Comic Book Day.
Wow.
Ooh.
That's how I got that speedball in the corner. Yeah. So when he said he cashed in his chips, he sure did, because that was a huge get. I mean, Scotty does not like doing those kind of situations. He doesn't like sketching, really. Even by that point, his prices were in the $200 range to sketch, and he was doing free sketches.
Wow.
It was, I think, for kids is what he thought, but everybody left, and so I was like, well, I got a backing board. I'm just gonna try this. Would you do a speedball? And he's like, yeah, sure. Boom. It's like, oh.
Nice. Well, and Scotty, I think, wasn't Scotty at Heroes Con last year, I think?
Yes, it was.
Yeah.
I got him to sign a couple books.
Yeah.
So.
But yeah, that was a great free con. But stuff like that, it's just so much fun, and it does good for the store. I mean, I made a point of just raiding their bins. Some stuff I didn't even need. It was just like, you want to show gratitude,
Right.
for
support,
for doing it, and hopefully some of the kids or even adults or college students or whatever that went to it, maybe found the hobby.
Yeah, I always try to go out to several book stores on New Comic Book Day and just kind of, obviously go pick up the free books, but then also spend some money in each of the shops, because a lot of the shops are, like I said, running specials or sales, and
those books aren't free to them.
No, I know. I talked to my LCS owner, and I think he said they spend around $2,000 or $2,500 on free books for every Free Comic Book Day.
Yeah, it's not charity.
Yeah. So, but they try to bring in, a lot of people, obviously, and then they run a sale and try to, generate some more business from it. So yeah, I always try to support, go pick up the free books, but then also, spend a little money while I'm there as well.
Of course.
So, yeah. Support them as best you can. So, all right. Well, you guys made it through. We made it through all the four standard questions and the two random, or 2.5, 3 random questions now. Anything else you guys want to mention before we, wrap up about your channel? Anything you guys got coming up? What did you guys announce the new the book that you're going to do the review or the read? No. Okay.
Yeah, we did.
No, talk about it.
No, we did. No,
okay.
All right, this was his brainchild, and we worked together. Well, kind of worked together. I took his advice, and because he has a plethora of knowledge on this subject. I was like, what could we talk about that could draw interest? And then I was like, I need this book. I need to pick next month's book. I need to put it. So he was like, you know what, dude? You know what? How about you just go ahead and pick it? And now I think he regrets that decision. And because I'm trying to pick up on the steam from The Last of Us, the TV show on HBO Max.
Okay.
So I picked The Last of Us, American Dreams. So that is going to be the book that we talk about on March 6th.
Brian, do you need a co-host by any chance?
You're looking to jump ship?
Yeah. I'm doggy paddling across the ocean to your ship.
I'll tell you what, I even picked 2 books for future in the year, and I think they're going to get axed. I'm pretty sure they're going to get axed. And I'm pretty sure he's going to take over.
I think it's become the Beckerman book club.
No.
You're not making me read Spider-Man.
All right. I won't make you read Spider-Man.
Unless it's like a classic storyline. Like if you want to do Kraven's Last Hunt, absolutely.
Yeah, that's a good one.
You want me to read modern Spider-Man? No.
You know what might be a good Spider-Man story for the book club is Spider-Man Blue. Yeah.
That's what he wanted us to do.
Oh, really? Oh, okay. All right. I read it. I read it recently, and I liked it. I enjoyed
You read
it.
it?
Yes, just recently I picked it up.
Did you get
And
the did
I
you get a
liked it.
trade or did you pick the did you get the singles?
I got the trade
Really? Where?
online somewhere. I forget where I found it. I found it at like a used bookstore.
Oh man. Everywhere I'm looking, it's like ridiculous prices.
Yeah, I think I paid maybe $15 for it.
Oh wow. Okay. Well, anyway, I think that's going to get axed. I know you just read it, but yeah, I think it's going to get axed.
All right.
Is
Because
it
I
good,
said it's all
Brian?
subject to change. So
We'll
All
see.
right. I guess
We'll
we'll just
talk
have to
about it
wait
when
for
we get home, Alan.
Beckerman to pick him.
we get home. Well, the thing is, okay, so I want this to be a community thing. It's not just for me or what I want to read. It's for what everybody else is read, what everybody gets into. Like Kingdom Come, there were so many people that joined us that never read it, and they read it for the first time, and they were so enthralled. And man, Mark loves that story.
Oh yeah.
I mean, he could go on, and it was great. And it was, I mean, 2 hours. We talked about one Fort Run series for 2 hours. That was awesome. And I still think we skipped some stuff that we could have went over. So
Probably.
you know, in hindsight, we probably should have done one issue at a time. So, but
With how deep we went into it, probably could have.
but
Well, I'm thinking like maybe some event stories, right? I'm trying to think of, obviously you have Secret
Infinity
Wars,
Gauntlet.
Secret Wars, but like maybe some event type, limited series.
Avengers JLA.
Well, we don't need to decide on which books we're reading. I just wanted to kind of throw that out there.
next month's book is set. I already said it, so we're gonna have to. He's just gonna suffer through it, and I get it, and so will I. And I'm probably gonna tell everybody.
I'm read it at.
I'm gonna probably apologize to everybody after it's done, but we will move forward, and we will improve.
It'll be fun. It'll be a 30-minute book review.
We don't think we're going to top the 2 hours.
I haven't even watched the show yet or played the video game.
Don't play the video game. You don't need to play stupid.
Yeah, I haven't watched the show either. It's on my list to watch. I just haven't gotten
it. It's really good.
I don't have HBO Max right now. I only carry one of those at a time, and it's not HBO Max's turn.
Fine. I'll send you my login.
Don't make me a pirate, Alan.
You're not a pirate.
No, I'm not ready for that life.
I get unlimited.
I'm afraid to get scurvy.
You won't.
Put an eye patch on, drink some rum, you'll be fine.
Salty dogs.
All right, guys. So, anything else you want to mention before we wrap up?
Check out the Hucklebuck. Check out Comic Viking. Check out. Well, you're already on Brian LCS, so you're doing that right.
All right, yeah. Links down below. Check out Comic Viking on YouTube, and both I'll have links for Beckerman and Alan's IG. Go check them out there, and be on the lookout for the next book club and your 250 subscriber giveaway. So,
yep,
lots of good stuff. Well, thanks, guys. Appreciate you coming on and answering my questions.
Thank you for having us.
All right.
Yeah,
thanks.
It was great.
I had a lot of fun.
Thanks to the chat, hanging out and watching. We're going to premiere this, so we'll see you next guest. But guys, thanks for joining. We'll see you soon. Take care.